Following program is produced at and funded by Linden State College, the college of the Northeast Kingdom.
Coming up tonight on News 7.
A stabbing in St. Johnsbury prompting multiple law enforcement agencies to take action. We have the latest.
Plus, several of the world's biggest beer companies could be merging. What effect does that have on local breweries in the area?
And the Linden Institute Vikings hockey team is renewed and revamped. How do they fare in their home opener? News 7 starts right now.
Live from the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, this is News 7 at 5:30.
An altercation in St. Johnsbury today left many questions up in the air as to what really happened. Good evening, I'm Dom Amato.
And I'm Mike Fisher. At 10:45 this morning in St. Johnsbury police were called into an apartment on Main Street for calls of altercation. Police are looking for Howard Matheson, a 40-year-old described as a 6-foot 1-inch man with brown hair and hazel eyes. Officials also say he has a neck tattoo. When police arrived, they heard a situation involving a possible stabbing with a baseball bat and a gun. With the help of the Vermont State Police, Caledonia County Sheriff Department was about to take control of the building and entered the residence. The victim of the possible stabbing only had minor abrasions and did not require any medical attention.
Currently at this time, we're still searching for the subject. The subject is well known to us, and we do believe that we'll end up locating him. We don't believe that there's any active threat to the public themselves. This was specific to the folks that lived in the apartment and whatever issues they had.
When we have more information on today's situation, we will update our Facebook page accordingly.
Speaking of scares, state police are investigating an explosion in Northfield. Police were called out around 8:30 last night to an explosion on North Street and Maple Ave. Injuries have been reported, and residents living near the building were evacuated. The Vermont State Police, the Northfield Police, and the FBI are looking into the case. Officials say there is no threat to the public at this time. The Haverhill Police Department needs your help to find 2 people who allegedly stole from the Walmart in Woodsville. The 2 took several items without paying for them. If you have any information or can identify the 2 individuals, call the Haverhill Police Department at 603-787-2222.
The state senator David Zuckerman is the next Vermonter tossing his hat in the running for lieutenant governor. Zuckerman will be running as Democrat against current Lieutenant Governor Phil Scott, State Representative Keisha Ram, and the Marlboro business owner Brandon Riker, and State Auditor Randy Brock. Zuckerman will formally announce his running in this evening in Burlington.
A ribbon cutting for a new town garage in Linden is now on the horizon. Earlier this afternoon, the town bought the property for $660,000, which comes about 2 months after a vote was passed to relocate the current town garage. The new site will serve as a joint highway garage for the village and town of Linden, but renovations will take place before it comes usable. At another town garage in Littleton, they cut their ribbon to open their doors today.
As News 7 Dylan Robichaud tells us, this isn't your ordinary, everyday garage.
The new Littleton Town Garage is ready for the worst that winter may decide to throw at them this year.
This building has, I don't know what the projection is, but we're looking at 50 or 60 years here.
After several years of town officials pushing for a new facility, it's finally here with good reason.
It was really unsafe. If you can envision the building ending at bay number 8 and having all those trucks and all the equipment inside, they actually had to weave the vehicles in and through, and they were stacked in such a manner so they could all fit in and get out.
It was a pre-engineered building that had deteriorated and it actually was unsafe. An engineering firm came in, they did an analysis, and they felt it was best that it was replaced due to the fact it could collapse under heavy snow load.
The 12,000 square foot building cost taxpayers about $1.3 million, but this facility is more energy efficient than what meets the eye.
Side here, right on the other side of the loader, there's a pellet boiler, and that services not only this building but also the fire station. We have a heated radiant slab, all LED lighting on motion sensors. All the doors here, these are called solar passive doors. The cloudy doors actually bring the light through and they help heat the building.
And residents of the town say it's about time we've done something to help those who keep our roads safe.
These men have to work in the worst weather conditions and then come back to these conditions to maintain their equipment and have their break and so on and so forth. So when it came up to vote, there was no question what direction I was going to vote.
Whether this year's winter will be mild or one for the record books, there's no doubt that the town of Littleton is ready. Reporting for the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, I'm Dylan Robichaud in Littleton.
Also in New Hampshire, lawmakers are working on ways to reduce the state's drug abuse crisis. The state legislature task force would make it so drug dealers who sell drugs to users that end up dying will now face second-degree murder charges. The panel is also considering expanding drug courts, strengthening prescription rules, and beefing up law enforcement. Littleton Police Chief Paul Smith says he agrees with lawmakers.
I think it's important for those individuals to be held accountable for their actions in causing death to an individual that they're selling drugs to. And if it means it's a second-degree murder charge and the legislature supports that, then certainly we will work very closely with them to make that happen.
Officials expect 400 people to die from heroin opioid abuse in this state this year. Residents in New Hampshire will have a chance to pay their outstanding taxes without penalty if they take part in the tax amnesty program. The program was established by the legislative session in 2015. It's expected to raise close to $16 million for the state. Citizens can pay 50% of accumulative interest through the program.
About 3 million bus and truck drivers will have to start recording their hours behind the wheel electronically. The new rule is designed to prevent fatigue and accidents on the road by logging hours electronically instead of on-paper records that drivers can manipulate for more time. The Safety Administration expects to save lives, injuries, and about $1 billion in paperwork. The new rule will go into effect in 60 days. The U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee is discussing a potential merger between the world's biggest beer companies.
How does local beer fit into the equation? News 7's Alex Paddock finds out.
With over 40 craft breweries in the state, Vermont's love affair with beer is a poorly kept secret.
Well, I think Vermont in general had a good reputation for, small batch craft artisan type products. And so when the beer came along, it just was a natural fit for Vermont.
The number of craft breweries in Vermont has more than doubled since 2011, and now they're even popping up in unlikely places, like this mall.
Samuelson is one of the newest to open a brewery in the state, but like all business owners, he has his concerns.
Operationally, I think the biggest hurdle is just business volume. The Northeast Kingdom is, fairly repressed economically.
At a committee hearing regarding the merger of Anheuser-Busch and Miller this week, Senator Leahy was watching out for small, local brewers.
As a Vermonter, as one who is so proud of these craft brewers in my state, I see what their creativity does. I want to make sure they have a level playing field.
Which is important, because as Leahy says, we have great beer.
Some of them are award-winning beers, world award-winning beers, and people travel from all over the country to visit them.
While Samuelson will carry a few big beers, this merger doesn't worry him because he says he's staying local.
But as far as this big, huge, massive merger they're talking about, it just puts pressure on retailers to buy more product from a single vendor.
Reporting for the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, I'm Alex Paddock in St. Johnsbury.
Vermont beer makers add almost $250 million into the state's economy annually. Vermont Senators Bernie Sanders and Patrick Leahy, along with New Hampshire Senator Jeanne Shaheen, are urging the U.S. Department of the Interior to continue funding and prioritize the Silvio Conti Refuge.
The Conti Refuge is in need of $14 million for necessary maintenance and improvement projects. The refuge spans across 36,000 acres in Connecticut, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Massachusetts. And now let's go to Felicia Woody for a quick look at our forecast. Felicia, is spring coming early or is winter late?
Well, Mike, I can tell you that spring isn't going to come early, so it leaves us with the other option that winter is going to be arriving a little bit later. But it's actually still not even winter yet. It's still fall. Winter is still coming in the next couple weeks. The high temperatures today were pretty mild. They topped out in the 50s for much of Vermont and most of New England. We topped out at 48 here in St. Johnsbury. And current conditions across, you still see we're sitting in the 40s for much of the states. Again, this is mid-December and we're still in the 40s, and it's about almost 6 o'clock at night. So if you're heading out tonight, again, temperatures are going to be dropping down around 40 degrees about 11 o'clock, and clouds will still stick in the area, so mostly cloudy skies. And in my full forecast, I want to talk about how El Nino is going to be affecting our winter season, how long these above average temperatures are going to be lasting, and I have your weekend outlook. Dom?
Thank you, Felicia. Coming up, a helpful emergency device is finally here. What does that mean for your safety?
And we have a special report on the opiate crisis in the Northeast Kingdom. All that and more next.